it's time to get out, because I'm not saying you're going to mess up. I'm saying this relationship is not working until things get fixed. And they're not going to be fixed together. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, episode 194, and thank you for being here. What I do here is I answer your questions, and I don't really like to waste any time doing anything else but that, because I hope that's what you came here for. You could find me on every other kind of platform talking about other things, but here we just talk about you and what you got going on in long form. You know, like we're having a conversation. We're having a little stroll down a country road. Me and you, we're walking to town, right? And you say, hey, man, got to run something by you. I got something going on. I'm like, yeah, what is it? Yeah, I got this issue going on. We talk about it. I'm not always right, but I'm just going to walk through it like me and you are friends, and the advice that I would hope you would give me back. What I want to do with this podcast really ultimately is I want you to know that I'm not the end stop for the answer to your questions. In fact, you could also be someone that answers these kind of questions too. Maybe I want to model thinking through and starting with certain presuppositions like love and creation. I want to start with things like that and go, let's think through this. Maybe I could bring up something you haven't thought of before, and then you could be this for someone else down the road. This podcast isn't going to last for the next 100 years. So maybe someone else, by me modeling it this way, someone else could do something like this. Maybe you start your own podcast. Maybe you do the same thing, starting your own podcast. I would love to see that. That's what I'm here for. If you have a question for me, email grangersmithpodcast@gmail.com. We'll get right to it. I don't have notes. I don't prepare for these. I don't even read ahead. I'm just going to go off the cusp here, and you're going to hear it at the same time I do, okay? First question. Subject line says, moving out. Hey, Granger, and hello, Earl. My name is Joshua. I'm 21 from North Carolina. I just wanted to say I appreciate listening to your every podcast since I started working at my current job. I just want to say thank you for the life lessons and bringing glory to God. I want to ask you, should I move out from my mom? I lost my father when I was 15, so I had to become the man of the house really fast. So I've just always been helping my mom out financially as much as I can. And I think it's harder to do that from a different household. I'm not bumming it living here, but at the same time, I feel guilty for thinking of moving because of how much we help each other right now. Sorry for the email if it was a little lengthy. Much love and God bless. Okay, Joshua, 21, North Carolina. Great question, man, and I'm glad you asked it, because this is a great thing to be thinking about for other people as well, because you're in a unique situation, lost your dad young, and you feel an obligation to provide for your mother. And I think that's really good, man. I think that's a good heart position to have. You want to take care of mom. She took care of you for all these years. The least you could do is take care of her. I think it's awesome. But what I want you to know is this. This is what I would tell you if we were buddies walking down this county road. The fact that you do that is wonderful, but it is not your obligation to replace your dad. And there's a fine line there between take care of mom and you are her provider like dad was. You're not that. And this is where it gets complicated. Because in a way, you don't want her to be stuck in life and not be able to move forward after dad, it's been 6 years, according to your email. You don't want her to be stuck and thinking that, well, Josh is going to be here. I don't need anything in my life because I got Josh. And thank God for Josh. Josh is here. Josh is going to provide for my baby boy, will provide for me. I'm a little bit hinting at the movie Waterboy. You guys remember the movie Waterboy? It can become that a little bit, right? That foosball is the devil, Bobby. Okay, I'm exaggerating and I don't want to be disrespectful to mama, but you can become that for her if you continue to be her sole provider. So what you want to do, the way to love your mom is to help her along, right? And not say, hey, mom, stay here and you don't do anything. I'll take care. I'll take care of us. Don't you worry. Like I said at the beginning, I think your heart position is right, and it's great that you think that way. But to really love her would also be helping her along. Like, hey, mom, I'm gonna move down the road a little bit, and I'm gonna help you to grow into yourself as the independent woman that you are. Maybe sometimes you see the scenarios where the mom got married early. Maybe she was a teenager or in their young 20s, and she never really knew what it was like to live alone. And so this is the first time. It's very scary. And so the son could say, Mom, look, I'm not leaving town. I'm just going to go down the road, and I'm going to continue working. And Josh, you need to be thinking of your future and your future wife and your future family that, Lord willing, you'll have. And in order to do this, you got to start experimenting with your independence, and then let mom have her independence. And you say, Mom, I'm a phone call away. I'm a 4-minute drive in my truck to your driveway. You need anything, I'm there. You need $1, I'm there. You need a meal, I'm there. You need to talk. You need to cry. You have a nightmare. You're afraid that someone knocked over your garbage cans. I will be there in 4 minutes. But as I love you, Mom, I want to help you become independent. And if I'm here kind of sheltering you and providing for you, then I'm afraid I might be inhibiting that from happening. So you got that aspect going on. And then Josh, then you got your own life, and you're too humble to admit this. And so I'll say it for you, but buddy, you got to be thinking about yourself as well, because what a death in the family like this does, it could bring us all together, or it can divide us. And right now it's dividing in a way that it's separating you from a life that you could be having right now with a wife and possibly children and even a career. Like, what happens if you get a job and they want to promote you to a job with longer hours, and you think that starts conflicting with taking care of mama? Then we got the water boy scenario. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you have to do anything I'm saying. But I'm wanting you to think critically about all odds. And if you're saying the goal is to love mama, if that's the goal, which I think it should be a great goal, one of many goals, but if that's the goal, then I want you to consider that leaving the house might be part of meeting that goal. Leaving mama might help her to spread her wings, right? Thank you for the email, brother. Let's go to another one here. Subject line says, made a mistake in the relationship and wanted to do things right. Hey, Granger, I want to remain anonymous. And then it says, I met Chase when I was 19, and we connected instantly. At that time, we were nothing more than friends. He joined the military and married quickly after that. 12 years later, we reconnected after he was going through a divorce. At the time, I was completely, quote, in love. And we made choices. Looking back now, I see how damaging they were. We spent 2 years together where I moved in and became stepmom to his kids. He was my best friend and exactly the type of man I was looking for in my future husband. However, I felt that our relationship wasn't honoring God, seeing as he was still not yet divorced, and I was living with him before marriage. I wanted to go on a break so that he could take care of his divorce, and I figured we'd come back to each other healthier. He jumped into relationships. I grieved. It's been 2 years. I haven't been on a single date since. Do you have any advice? P.S. Listening to your podcast has helped me because it encourages me that I made the right decision. I want a marriage that is honoring to God. Okay, anonymous. I'm going to do a quick recap just for my own brain because I'm hearing this for the first time. You met this guy when you were 19 and y'all connected. He joined the military and he married. Fast forward 12 years, you guys reconnected as he was going through a divorce. At the time, you were completely in love, and you guys made choices back then that you see were damaging now, okay? I understand. I'm tracking. You spent 2 years together. You moved in and became stepmom to the kids, but I'm paraphrasing. He wasn't completely divorced yet. It wasn't finalized. And you guys were living together. So then you realize this might be bad, so you kind of pull back, and then he surprises you and just jumps into other relationships. Okay. Kind of revealing his true colors. Got it. Anonymous, thank you for the email and being vulnerable. And I think the purpose of me here in this question is just simply to encourage you. I think that's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to answer a specific question because you didn't ask a specific question, but besides, do I have any advice? And my advice is, you've done well. Yeah. You've made mistakes in this relationship. Haven't we all? Haven't we all? But the difference between making a mistake in a relationship and sitting in it and living with it and not fixing it, there's a big difference between that and making a mistake in a relationship and realizing, oh, I've done wrong. I need to cut this off. I need to separate myself from this. I need to turn from it. That's where that word repentance comes from. I need to turn away from my mistake and turn towards, Christians would say, towards God. Repent and turn back to God. And so that's what you've done. Exactly. You made a mistake. Once again, that's not a judgment call because raise your hand if you haven't made a relationship mistake ever. No one's raising their hand, okay? You made a mistake. You moved in, you did this thing, but guess what? It's okay because you recognized your conscience was eating you up and you turned away and you changed course. You're sailing down this path and you're like, this is headed in a bad direction. I better pull down the sails and change the boat to a different course. And so that's what you did. And guess what happened? You changed the boat. You started heading down a new path, a new course. And you looked back at the old path and you saw, oh man, there's a waterfall. I was headed straight down. The boat was about to crash. But I felt the need to change course. I felt like this wasn't honoring God. I felt convicted. I changed course. Now look at you. You're sailing on open waters. And you know now that you're better for that because you got your eye open now. You're looking out ahead. You're looking for waterfalls, right? Every once in a while, you climb up on your mast. Is that the right word? You climb up on the mast of your sailboat and you get up on that little lookout and you got your eyes open. And someone says, what are you doing up there? And you go, I have seen open waters lead to waterfalls. So I always want to make sure my course is on the right track. That's good. That's good stuff. And you don't know that as much if you've never made a mistake. So these mistakes are put in our life like this, these obstacles, so that we learn from them. And that's our choice. We learn from them or we go off the edge of the waterfall. So my answer to you on advice is I just want to encourage you. Keep your eyes open. Stay on the lookout. You've got a clear slate. You're on open waters. You made a great decision. Look what happened to this guy. Now you know. Next question. Going blind on these. The subject line says, not sure what to do. Hey, Granger, I could really use some advice. A few months ago, my ex broke up with me. We were together almost for a year because of my mental health. It got the best of me. And I said some things I still regret to this day. We broke it off because my ex wanted me to focus on myself to get better. And I went through no contact with them for about 2 weeks. My ex messaged me one night while I was doing homework, and I got really excited at the same time sad because it could have been the last time we spoke. Ever since then, we have been talking nonstop. And we are right back where we were. In a few months, I'll be traveling to go see them for their birthday and spend about a week with them. As time gets closer, I feel really excited and sad because it will not be the same. What do I do to make these negative thoughts go away? Any advice will be appreciated. Thank you, Jess. Okay. Jess, I'm going to track with you here real quick, making sure I understand your email. You were together, you broke up because of mental health got the best of you. You said some things that you regret. You guys broke it off. Your ex said, focus on yourself to get better. Then he messaged you one night. That always happens. You know, these kind of messages always come at night, right? They never come in the morning. They come at night. That's when loneliness strikes. And then you got kind of excited and kind of sad at the same time. And then you started talking nonstop. And it was like you were right back at the beginning. And then you went to travel to see them. I don't know why you said them. Like, why are we talking about them all of a sudden? Maybe the family? Maybe he has kids. I don't know. I'll make this quick. You want to know how to make these negative thoughts go away. I think you were relying too much on these relationships. When he broke up with you saying your mental health got the best of you, and you said some things that you regret, so you guys broke it off, so you could focus on yourself to get better. I don't think that happened. I don't think you're well. I don't think anything got better. I think he just got lonely and messaged you. He got lonely. He messaged you. You're an ex. You were the next one on his phone list. I promise you, I don't mean that to be offensive to you, but he pulled out his phone. He was like, I'm lonely. Who could I call? Oh, yeah, I'm going to call Jess because she's probably lonely too. And so he messaged you and he said, are you lonely? I'm lonely. And you said, yes, I'm lonely. Are you lonely? And he said, yes, let's get together. That's the summary of what happened. And then, of course, things got right back to where they were. You started chit-chatting. You figured out, I remember things were so good. We're so quick to forget about the bad, the negative things, and so quick to just jump into the good stuff. So now you're worried again. You're worried about those negative thoughts coming back. Maybe you're going to say something you regret again. And I'm going to tell you this, Jess, you will. Nothing changed except loneliness got in the way a little bit. So you're going to have to, like I said, I want to make this question quick, but it's time to get out because I'm not saying you're going to mess up. I'm saying this relationship is not working until things get fixed. And they're not going to be fixed together. Okay? This is just lust. This is just loneliness kicking in. That's all this is. I promise you, you're not going to find anything at the end of this path, except for like the last question, a waterfall. Take your sail down, set a new course, get onto some open waters, get your head up, be looking out for waterfalls, and do some healing here. There's going to be some healing that needs to happen. We'll take a break. Be right back. This podcast is brought to you all by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/Granger and get on your way to being your best self. Now, I've said so many times on this podcast that I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I just try to speak you the truth that I know. But if you need further help than that, please go get some professional help. And if you are someone that's never done therapy before, and maybe you're not the kind of person that wants to go lay down on a green couch, well, I'll tell you, there's other alternatives out there. It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you and not take a moment just to think about what you need for yourself. And I think that's been pretty evident just in the questions we've gotten today already. People tend to feel stretched and thin and burned out, and therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. So this is where BetterHelp comes in. If you're thinking of trying therapy or starting therapy, hey, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. You don't have to go anywhere. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and then you could switch therapist at any time for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Granger today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Granger. And just a reminder that on August 1st, Like a River, my book comes out. I'm so excited to get this book into your hands. I think this will be such an important thing for so many questions that come in. I could say, have you read the book? Check out the book. And then we could discuss further. But if you're going through things similar to what I did, and that's anything to do with loss, whether that's a job or a dream or a car or a pet or, like me, someone you loved, well, then you could read this book like a river and we could discuss further. I think it's very important that you hear exactly what happened and hear how I was healed. The book is called Like a River. You could actually pre-order the book right now at grangersmith.com. Back to the podcast. All right, back to the podcast. And starting off with an interesting question. I just kind of scanned it before I hit record here. Subject line says, "Our God," and the email itself says, "Hey Granger, I have a question about God. I'm not sure I've ever heard you explain this in a podcast. How do we know our God is the real thing? I grew up in a Southern Baptist denomination. I have accepted Jesus, but as I get older, I always ask myself, how do we know our God is the real deal? I don't know for sure, but I'm sure every religion will tell you their God, parentheses, gods, are the only right, real thing. Only one group is correct, but how do we know it's ours? I've always heard to walk by faith and not by sight, and I have my whole life. But sometimes I just question this subject, and nobody's ever been able to explain. Thank you for your music and your podcast, Yee. All right, question comes from Braden, and it's a good question. And Braden, I want to, first of all, validate the search, because I think the search is biblical, and I think it's very important for all religions, all spiritual people, to cultivate a desire for the search for truth. I think it's important. It definitely for me, definitely for my personality, I think it's important to not fall under the facade of just got to walk by faith. Just got to believe. Hey, what do you think about God? I don't know. You just got to believe. Just got to have faith. Just got to have faith. That's dangerous to do that, because if you're not testing your faith, right? Like Paul says, we need to test our faith. If you're not testing it up against truth, then how do you know it's real? And so you could tell people all day long, I just believe, just got to have faith, just got to believe. Well, that's interesting, okay? Now, there's many ways that faith is tested, and one way is by persecution or trials or suffering. You're going to know quickly through suffering or trials or persecution, you're going to know, oh man, I am mad at God, or I don't believe in God anymore because God would never allow this bad thing to happen. Or you're going to run and you're going to get closer. The suffering, the trials are going to draw you closer, and you're going to, God, I trust you. I run to you. I need you even more now than ever. So then you go, okay, my faith has passed the test. Or my faith is so flimsy, it just completely shattered. So I want to acknowledge the wrestling. I think we should wrestle. I don't think we should play around with doubt, but I think there's a difference between like doubting and testing our faith up against truth. Because why do I say that? I say that because we can be self-deceived. And anyone that doesn't recognize they can be self-deceived is self-deceived. That just came right back around at me, didn't it? Yeah. So if you don't think you can be self-deceived, I promise you are being self-deceived right now. So we need to be affirmed by, first of all, other people around us that are in our faith that can say, here's what you're thinking, and here's where I've struggled with this, and we all come together and we help give each other assurance, right? You need assurance. And deeper than that, I would encourage you to explore all the religions. Some people might not agree with that. Some people might say, I don't know about that. Braden, I think you should. I think you say, here's what your question says. All religions will tell you that their God is the only real deal. And you're correct. You're also correct in saying that only one can be correct, right? There's only one that can be right. So all of the religions claim that their God is the God, and they can't all be right. Only one can. So I would tell you, go on a journey. Go on a journey searching through these different religions. Oh, it is a deep well, and I enjoy it. That's my personality. I'm a history buff. I love I love World War II. I love the Civil War in Vietnam and Great Depression, and I love history. I love digging in, and I love biblical history. So I would encourage you to go down the Islam route and research Muhammad, who he was, the time period, how he got his revelation, how the Quran was eventually written. Okay? That's a good route to take. Study the Jews. Study the Jews and why they think that the Messiah still has not come yet. What they're looking for and what they believe they didn't see in Jesus. Go down the route of Jehovah's Witnesses. Go down the route of Charles Taze Russell. Go down the route of Joseph Smith with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This is the overview of the Abrahamic religions, and then I would go into Buddhism and go to Buddha, and then I would go into the Hindu religion and research the ancient Hindus and where they came from. Go down this path and start taking notes and looking, and you're like, Granger, whoa, this is not what I meant. Is it not? Is this not what you meant? Because it sounds like you're searching. It sounds like you want some assurance. And I promise you, I'm just one beggar telling another beggar where I found bread. But you're going to find some crazy things down this rabbit hole. And you're going to have to answer one question. 2 questions. This is what I think. 2 questions. This is what I go back to. No, there's many. And I've studied extensively on this, but there's 2 questions you have to answer. 1, where did we come from? I'm not talking about your mama. I'm talking about where did humans come from? You're going to have to go back to creation. It was either creation created by a super intelligence, right? Okay. So created by a super intelligence, or created out of an accident. And it would have to have, the accident has to have come from nothing. Now, I debate atheists that challenge me on this, saying that it doesn't have to come from nothing. But atheists, in their viewpoint, always will stand on the fact that they are atheists because they do not know. So that's what they could always fall on. Well, my truth is I don't know that no one can know the truth. Let me take a breath. I love this stuff. But you got to start with, where do we come from? So it's either a super intelligence sparked life, could have been the Big Bang, could have been whatever you want to call it, but it sparked life, it breathed life into life, whatever the central point of that was. Or something spontaneously happened out of nothing. Because, why do I say nothing? Because something can't come from nothing. It's impossible that something, that matter, comes from non-matter. Or if it did come from something, that means something had to have been eternal, forever. So this is the creation issue. That's a deep well. Go down that rabbit hole. And then fast forward several thousand years, and you got to go to the empty tomb. This is the issue where all the Abrahamic traditions intersect. You've got to deal with the empty tomb, because most credible scholars in the world, regardless of religion, will agree on this. Jesus was a real person who lived in a real time, who had real followers, who had a real message. Okay? Jesus, this same real person with real followers, with real disciples, was crucified and killed by the Romans. Jesus, after he was killed, was put into a tomb. 3 days later, this is what everyone agrees on, 3 days later, the tomb was empty and the stone was rolled away. they also agree that he claimed to be the Son of God. So here we go. Here's this man named Jesus. He was a very loved prophet who his followers believed and followed, and he was crucified for heresy by the religious elite in Jerusalem, partnering with the Romans, and he claimed to be the Son of God. They killed him on a cross, crucified him. 3 days later, the tomb where he was placed is now empty. This is what all credible scholars agree. So at that point, I give it to you and I say, what are we going to do with the empty tomb? What are we going to do with this? You could say, well, maybe the disciples stole the body. I say he had 2 guards and they were sleeping, Roman guards. Well, maybe they defeated the guards and then the guards fell asleep and they stole the body. What did they do with the body? Because Jerusalem would have been completely upturning everything to find this body. Whether it was the Jewish Sanhedrin or the Roman elite, they would have been turning the town over to find the body. Where did it go? Then I say, why would they have stolen it? Here's the crazy thing. After that, why would they have stolen a dead body from a grave 3 days later that's starting to decompose, stolen it, hidden the body, the dead body, or burned it or destroyed it, and then their faith grows, and suddenly they start preaching the message that he's alive again. And then they're killed for saying that, and all of their families murdered. And yet, somehow they have peace about this and joy about this. They have hope in this, and they say, our Savior has risen. He is alive, and he has shown his deity as the God-man by resurrecting like no human has ever done. And now I'm just saying what they said, right? I'm not forcing my opinions on anyone. I'm just saying. Then he goes around and he spreads this message to over 500 eyewitnesses. All of them say, we saw him, we believe him, Jesus is alive, he came right, the stone has been rolled away, he came out of the tomb, and he's alive. And the Romans say, oh, cool, we're going to kill you unless you say that's a lie. And they say, kill me. Why would they do that? They're either crazy, and I don't think all these crazy people could coordinate their message, align their message perfectly, or they are lying, and nobody lies if they're going to be killed for it, right? Especially their family, like, we're going to kill your whole family. Nope, well, it's the truth. Well, that's stupid. And number 3, they were telling the truth. Braden, I don't know if you expected this long of an answer, but I give all this information to you. Have fun, buddy. Have fun. Oh, man. Sometimes I get going a little bit too long, I think. Here's the question I have here. The subject line says, lost. Hey, Granger, absolutely love your music and your podcast. I'm 19 years old from Buffalo, New York. I got a lot on my mind from this past year I'm trying to figure out. So I'll try to keep this email short. There's a girl, and I met her a few years ago, but at the time, I was too unsure of myself to introduce myself. Sometime after that, she began dating one of my friends who they broke up last year. About the time of the breakup, we began working at the same place. So we began to talk and hang out with other friends. By this time, I'd become more confident in myself. So a few months later, I thought it might be best to ask her out. Before I got a chance, I learned she just started dating one of my other friends. She and I are still friends. And since then, she's found someone else. That's where our relationship will stay. A bit later in the summer, I spent a weekend with a group of friends and their friends, and the weekend felt like I was connecting the dots to one of the girls I met there. Everything about her is attractive to me, and we had plenty of time talking. At the time, I was compelled to ask her out, but that weekend I learned she was younger than me by 3 years. And that exceeds my gap for dating. Oh man, I'm sorry to laugh. And because of this and my uncertainty, if my feelings were real or drink-induced, I have refrained from asking her out. In regard to both of these situations, I often ask myself, have I made the right choices? Is God trying to show me something, etc.? I'm unsure what specific question I'm trying to ask you, but my same question is, what are your thoughts? Yee. Okay, question comes from Anonymous. And buddy, you are all over the map. This reads like you wrote it in like poetry form, where like every sentence is on its own line. And I'm not sure what to tell you besides the fact that you're 19, and I just want you to pump the brakes a little bit, man. You're a little bit girl crazy. Just pump the brakes. Your confidence will grow as you just get a little bit older. That's it. You're feeling insecure. You're feeling like you're not, what was the word you used? You're not as, I don't know what you use. I, I don't know. Besides drink induced, but I'm kind of lost at this question. Besides, I think you're just a little girl crazy, and I think it would be wrong of me to encourage you down a path of asking more girls out and trying to figure this. I would just say, buddy, pump the brakes. Hang out with your friends. Suppress those feelings of got to ask her now, and just go with the flow. Be natural about it. If you're with a girl and you think she's cute, just tell her she's cute. If not, don't. But it's not rocket science, and you're trying to make this into like some math problem. So pump the brakes. I think you're 19, and you need a few more years. A few years need to go by, and it's going to fix a lot of these problems. By the way, you're not going to honor God. This is what you said at the end. Is God trying to show me something? Well, he might be trying to show you something by saying, hey, this drink-induced dating thing that's just not going to be very good. I know that for a fact. Next question. Subject line says, making time for priorities. Hey, Granger, my name is Wes. I'm 19. Here we go, another 19-year-old. 19. I'm from Coopersville, Michigan. I like your music. I love your God-centered podcast. I was wondering if you have any advice regarding finding my priorities. I've been having trouble remembering everything I have to do, and I've been letting people down by forgetting things. I've been getting more sleep lately, which seems to help, but I feel like I'm always too busy to get everything done, which is why I was losing sleep. I'm wondering how you make time for your priorities, like spending time with your family, which I assume is really important to you in the middle of everything else that you do. Thank you so much. God bless. Wes, appreciate the email, brother. 19, shout out to Michigan. And your question is going to be about making time for priorities. I am a little bit concerned, to be honest with you, that you're 19 and you have so much going on that you're forgetting things and letting people down. Maybe the advice to you at this point is, buddy, it might be time to start learning the art of saying no. And this is an art, and this is something I still struggle with, and I'm trying to get better, and I try to remind myself daily, but it's okay to say no. You could say no politely. Hey, man, do you mind helping me? You got a pickup truck. Do you mind on Thursday night? It'd really help me if you can come over Thursday and help me move a couch and a dresser. And you're thinking, man, I get off work at 5. I've got to mow the grass. I got to catch up with stuff. I promised this person. And so it would be okay to say, buddy, I'm so sorry, but I can't. My Thursday's stacked. I can't make it. It's an art to say that, because sometimes we feel like, well, a friend would help another friend move the couch. And that's just in a scenario. I'm trying to build a scenario because I don't know what it is that's clogging up your days. But what happens is you go to work, your boss holds you a little bit. You don't get off at 5. You get off at 5:30. You rush home. Your truck is running on empty. You got to go do the mow the grass. You find out, no, your lawnmower's not starting. So you try to fix that, and then you're doing a bad job mowing the grass. You're stressed out, and then you get in your truck to run to your friend's house to help move the couch. You realize you're still on empty, so you got to stop at the gas station. So you go in there, and then you're spending money trying to fill up your tank, and then you're texting your buddy. You're running, you're rushing, and you're just a little bit anxious, and you're like, hey, man, I know I told you I'd be there at 7, but it's probably looking more like 7:40, 7:45. Just had a lot. And he's like, man, yeah, no worries, but yeah, if you can make it as soon as you can, you get there, and then he's there, and he's a little frustrated. It's raining. You're trying to get the couch down the stairs of the third story apartment complex. You're putting it in the back of your truck. You're trying to, and then you're getting into bed, and you're wondering why you can't sleep. You're like, man, I can't sleep because you got a lot of stuff rattling around in your head. And all this I could give you a million ways to go on advice. But a lot of your question, I think it would be appropriate for me to just say, buddy, Wes, you got to learn the art of saying no and being okay with that, and not thinking that you're less of a friend or less of a brother or less of a son or less of a boyfriend if you say, I'm so sorry, but I've got a lot going on right now. Could I take a rain check on this? I can't move the couch on Thursday. You know what? I can move it on Sunday, but I can't move it on Thursday. And if you could learn to do that more than you say yes, and this is not about not serving people or not pouring yourself out to others. It's not about that. This is about you being your best and keeping a good schedule. So why? So you don't let people down. Because if you say yes to too many people, you're going to let all of those people down. Instead of people like at the very beginning saying, no, I can't make it Thursday. Good. Then I'll get somebody else. But if you say yes and then you run late, you see what I mean? All of this is a hypothetical situation I built, but I'm just trying to help you. This because you asked me, what do I do? What do I do? I have to say no a lot. Probably 9 times out of 10 in my life, I have to say, no, I can't do that. I'm so sorry. But I have to say no so that the things I say yes to, I could be my best. And like I said, I still struggle with this. I'm still not great at this. But it is a daily habit that I put forth in my mind. Okay, right? I got to say no. I hope that helps, brother. And I hope you can apply that. And I hope you could do a little bit better than I did when I was 19, because I struggled as well with that kind of thing, with just filling my plate. And that's important for all of us. Yeah, it's not good to have the virtue of being busy. I don't like that. I've said that before on this podcast, but I don't like the virtue of being busy. And that is what we do in this culture. Like, how you been, man? Good, busy. You? Busy. Man, me too, man, busy. And somehow we attributed that to that's like a good thing. That's like a positive thing in your life. You could say it like this. You could say, hey, man, you guys staying busy? Like you're expecting a yes. You're staying busy, right? Please tell me you're staying busy, man. Because what if you answered, no, not very busy? That would sound like you're failing. You staying busy, man? No, not very busy at all. That sounds like, no, I'm just not doing good in my life. And that's just false. And I wish this culture would get out of that. I wish we could break the habit of acting like busyness is a virtue. There's nothing wrong with working hard and filling the day with some hard work and going to bed tired and exhausted in a way because you laid it all out there. But there's a difference between that, good, hard, diligent, deep, hard work, and I'm just busy all day, distracted. It's not good. Hope that helps, brother. I appreciate all y'all, and we'll see you next Monday. Thanks for joining me on the Granger Smith Podcast. I appreciate all of you guys. You could help me out by rating this podcast on iTunes. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to this channel, hit that little like button and the notifications bell so that you never miss any time I upload a video. If you have a question for me that you would like me to answer, email grangersmithpodcast@gmail.com. Yee.